Ever catch yourself silently judging everyone? Your partner, your boss, the barista who gave you oat milk instead of almond, but mostly yourself. Yeah, this isn't just you being picky, it's your shadow at work. Welcome to the world of the 18th pattern of evolutionary change and its shadow of judgment. Today, I will help you learn how to transform that inner critic into a compass for divine perfection. But first, I'll start with a parable. At this point, please close your eyes and visualize the story I am about to share. There was once a village in the mountains where the only sculptor lived alone. His hands were gifted. Each sculpture he carved told the story of gods and mortals, hopes and grief. But every night after the village had gone to sleep, he would sneak out to the square and break his own statues. Why? Because he could only see the flaws: a chipped ear, an uneven gaze, a subtle imperfection in the curve of the hand. The villagers saw beauty, but he only saw failure. Years passed. One day, a great storm came. The mountains cracked, the rivers rose. The people ran to the square, where the broken statue fragments, now scattered across the plaza, held the water back. What was once flawed had become the foundation of their survival. And only then did the sculptor see the brokenness he feared was not the enemy of beauty. It was the very path to belonging, to service, and to grace. Welcome. This is the 18th pattern of evolutionary change and its shadow of judgment. But it isn't just about how we critique others. It's about how our perception of imperfection limits our evolution. At the heart of this pattern is a dilemma that every human has wrestled with: flaws. Why do we notice them so quickly? Why do they bother us so deeply? It's because in the early stages of our evolution, judgment helped us survive. To judge whether someone was trustworthy, to fix what was broken, to improve systems. It served a biological function, but as our species evolved spiritually and socially, that same mechanism became distorted by fear. We began to internalize judgment. It turned outward. When we say, quote, "They're not doing it right," and then inward, "I'm not doing it right." And beneath it all, something's wrong with me, with them, with the world. This shadow in this pattern of change isn't bad. It's survival intelligence. This shadow of judgment arises when we fear blame, blame from others, or worse, blame that comes from our inner critic. It splits in two directions: the repressive inferiority, where we become small, we stay quiet, we suppress our voice just so we can blend in. And then the reactive part, when we've had enough of the repression, and that is a superiority. We correct others, we assert dominance, we become hypercritical, often in the name of helping. Either way, the fear wins. Either way, the flaw becomes a reason to disconnect. And the truth is, this disconnect becomes a pattern woven through every aspect of our lives: our parenting, our partnerships, our professions. But the shadow was never trying to punish us. It was trying to protect us. The problem is, one cannot judge one's way to wholeness. One cannot criticize one's way into self-love. And one cannot blame the world into grace. This 18th pattern of change sits on a sacred access point between discernment and perfection, between trying to fix the world and seeing the world as already whole. This challenge exists because we are wired to evolve, and evolution begins with perception. We were never meant to fix everything. We were meant to see what's misaligned and bring harmony not through force, but through our divine presence. That's what makes this specific challenge such a powerful spiritual initiator. It drags us through the fire of every flawed thing that we see. until we realize the fire is our teacher. At the beginning of this path is the fear of getting it wrong, fear of being blamed, fear of being the flaw. But at the end of the path is grace, not earned, not proven, just remembered. Grace doesn't erase the flaw, it includes it. It sees the scar as part of the design. It's the moment when the sculptor stops breaking his statues and starts letting them be seen. That's what this specific challenge offers us. The chance to refine our perception, not to eliminate imperfection, but to become at peace with it. The complementary challenge and shadow of this is the 17th pattern of evolutionary change and its shadow of opinion, where it has a fear of being wrong. You can visit this shadow after this video. For those interested in doing deeper personal alchemy and wish to have a means of accelerating an understanding of shadow work, over the last 3 to 5 years, I have collected a wealth of information from various esoteric systems, namely the I Ching, human design, gene keys, the chakra systems, and astrology, as well as integrating them with the human genetic code. And in this chart, you will find the details of all the different shadows, all the different fears, the specific fears that fuel those specific shadows, all 64, all in relationship to each codon. And in this wheel, you will find 4 legends on each corner because they can't all fit on one corner or one side to make it a nice, evenly balanced square. So here is the statements from each zodiac sign, so you can see. And then we have the legend for each chakra. You'll notice that there are more than 7, and because there are more than 7 because it is including the spleen as a means to detect threats. So there's an intuitional center there. There's also a center of willpower called the thyroid, because when we are born, the thyroid is literally almost, if not as big as our heart. So we have to accommodate that. And on the other side of this, you will also find an understanding of the I Ching, hexagram system, the different trigrams, the relationship to the three-dimensional plane, the yin and the yang, and how each of the 6 lines are affiliated with different archetypes, thanks to the human design and or gene key system. And lastly, you will also find the human genetic sequence chart for all the amino acids associated with the human genetic code. But furthermore, you will also find in this chart all the different zodiacs, all 12, mixed with the human design gene key chart. Bear with me, my graphics card is not as fast as other people's on their computer, but you will see all the different fears, all the different shadows, and how they relate to each chakra in those colorful little dots. So you can see how it affects each energy center in the body and how each of them have their own repressive and reactive statements because there are 6 expressions in each challenge. Therefore, you will also find those 6 lines in there, all with their own repressive and reactive statements, their associated dilemmas from that specific shadow, which eventually will clear up, the gift from making the right choices regularly and practicing that gift with its own unique self-empowerment statement. So as you learn to vacate the trapped emotions such as sadness, fear, anger, shame, and guilt, and you will reorient towards true self-alignment and honoring the intuition and inner authority that you possess, it will lead you towards the grace specific to that challenge. So if you would like to learn more about this and or you would like to download this file for your own personal means of translating your specific challenges in the human design system or in the gene key system, it is all there for you. All you have to go is to my website and download this PDF file. It's about 50 megabytes in size. I hope you enjoy this and hope you enjoy this brief glimpse into this massive PDF with all the details about all the specific challenges you'll have in your personal self-realization path. In order to find this PDF, a link will be found down below in the description of the YouTube video. When using that elaborate and vast chart of information, you can use the human design apps found in the App Store on Google Play so that you can choose whichever speaks to you most. And as you choose whichever human design app works best for you, you can then use that towards the chart. So you get your information and your numbers. And then after that, you can use the chart as reference. For example, I use the human design app, which helps me see the specific numbers that I need to see in the top right-hand corner. The red are the unconscious. These are the ones that were imprinted when the soul decided to remain anchored in the body about 90 days before you were born, between the second and the third trimester. The black numbers indicate the conscious, more aware challenges that you know you have in your current life, based on your survival challenges and your adversities currently going on in your life. You can also find that same application in the Human Design App Store for iPhone and or iOS before you start using the chart that you have purchased online. Thank you very much. And if you ever need more information on this and you wanted a free consultation in understanding the current challenges in your life and how it relates to human design, feel free to reach out through the links below. You can also visit thegenekeys.com. There, you will also find a different kind of chart. It relates to the same challenges and same numerical sequences as found in the I Ching and Human Design. And there you'll be able to find a free profile link where you can then enter in your personal information in this field and then have a look at your specific gene key profiles and understand your genus sequence, your Venus sequence in opening up your heart, your love sequence, prosperity, and finding inner harmony. Thank you for watching this short introduction into the Wheel of Evolutionary Change and the chart that I've shown you in brief. And hopefully through those apps and through this PDF, you will find a way to decode the challenges you face and understand how to make the best choices for you and everyone you are meant to impact positively in your life. Now back to the shadow work and the evolutionary change in this video. Let's return to the shadow of judgment. So this is where we begin, not by solving this 18th pattern of change, but by honoring it. Judgment is not one's enemy. It's an invitation. Flaws are not failure. They are your furnace of transformation. And the grace is waiting at the end of one's path, not as a reward for being perfect, but as your inheritance for choosing love over fear. And that grace is of perfection, to allow the Creator's perceived view of us as perfect as we are. Thank you for joining me, and in future videos, we'll dive deeply into the 19th pattern of change, the fear of internal rebellion and the shadow of codependence. In the next video, I'll be going into the 19th pattern of evolutionary change and its fear of real internal change and the shadow of codependence. Thank you for watching this video in its entirety. Down below in the description, you'll find more information, including contact information by email, as well as my website. I host 3 different meetups on the meetup platform through Zoom, and the first one is Divination Systems, which goes into more detail regarding these shadow patterns, the repressive nature, the reactive nature, some of the statements, the dilemmas involved, and how to transmute them. The next one is the next meetup is the Emotional Intelligence and Mastery meetup. There you'll learn more about the emotions, how to navigate and dialogue with them, learning the power of the pause, contemplating your emotions, and how to use them effectively. The next one is Emotional Trauma Release Group, where I hold a safe space for people that want to let go of their emotional burdens and to create vacancy for what they want to embody moving forward. If you find that you're saturated by a lot of social media platforms, then you can also find the resources through the links on my website. I believe they're in the archive page. Until then, God bless you all. Namaste and good life to you all.